Okay, now, sometimes when you order a wet tanned hide, you need to do some shaving here and there where there are thick spots. You gotta understand, guys who sell these by bulk, a lot of times all they can do is kind of just zip through them. And if you have a round knife like like this here or a Dakota, you can go over and you can fine tune the shaving. Sometimes they're a little thick. Sometimes the dry tan, the wet tan rather, the certain tans tend to tighten up the skin, making it a little more tough or a little stiffer than it need be. If you go along with your round knife, you can take down some of the thick spots. You can take away the sawdust, which tends to dry the skin out. That'll give you more stretch, and even if it doesn't give you a lot more stretch, the hide that you have will inevitably lay better on the head form, or if it's a life-size, the life-size mannequin. It's up to you how much work you want to put into something. Me, now this is for my own buck. Doesn't matter though, if it was for a client's deer, same thing. Yeah, the glasses and the headlight are definitely indicators of age. I make no apologies for them. In fact, I'm very thankful that I've got them. See, now this is real thick here. And you could end up putting a needle through your finger before the hide. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to thin it down some. You could thin it by hand with a scythe knife, but if you've got a round knife and you're comfortable with using it, and you know what you're doing, you can take down the thickness and do it well. And you don't want to make it too thin. You don't want the stitches to pull and rip right through the hide. But you do want it thin enough that you can get the needle through, like I say, without having to drive it, the back of the needle especially, drive it through your fingers. Now these little areas here, I go around the burrs, these will be trimmed down with the scissors by hand. I can go around the eyes. I've already hand shaved around the eyes, but I can take this further, very gently, very slowly. Like I say, this is my own hide, but if I had a replacement hide for a client, or if a hide came back from my tannery that needed a little extra work, I get on it. It's no big deal. I've been a taxidermist now for well over 50 years. And you gotta do shit like this. You gotta do shit like this. This is part of the business. You don't necessarily have to be a tanner. Being a tanner is a whole nother science. It's a whole nother applied science to this field of taxidermy. I'm a taxidermist. I know how to use a round knife, what people mostly call a fleshing machine. It's more accurately a shaving machine. I know how to use a round knife because I was taught by one of the masters in this industry, a gentleman, the late Sinclair Clark, taught me at his elbow in a tannery, and taught me one very valuable lesson. Whatever you do, don't let your mind wander. So as I'm speaking to you, I'm keeping very, very, very tight attention on the work at hand and in hand. I want to know where my hide is laying at all times. I want to know where my hand is at all times. And I want to gently take things down. And you can see the difference between an area that's been shaved and an area that's not been shaved. And you can feel this is a little softer, this is a little stiffer. The sawdust tends to dry the skin. Now I'm going to get my Chemol 4 solution. I'm going to spray down the face so that it softens.
on social media. 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 On social me
thick spot right there. That's a thick spot right there. Thicker than it needs to be, at the very least. No big deal. Take it down. No big deal. There'll be no more wrinkles, hard wrinkles forming in this hide. It will lay down where I paste it. That's the most important thing. Any wrinkles that are forming the hide are wrinkles I will create using clay under the skin. But not because it's too thick in places. Thick spot. Thick spot. Take it away. Thin down nice. Nicely thinned. Not a problem. All part of being a taxidermist. Just using another tool of the trade. I'm way too old and way too busted up to work in the tannery anymore, but for my own self, not a problem. Now down on the leg portion, it really needs to be shaven. It's really rather thick because we've got, that's the inside of the leg. This wraps around, this is the elbow right here. So that's, the skin there is rather thick, and to get it on a new floor type pedestal, it needs to be thin. So with your hand under the hide, very carefully, you go along and thin it. Concentrate on what the hell you're doing. Don't let your mind wander. Words of wisdom from a very wise man. You just pull the excess pieces away. Cleaning up the edges on the round knife, using a round knife, very efficient. It's the edge of the incision, the edge of the cape, anywhere. It's a very efficient method. Now you can go too much, you can cut it, so you want to be careful. I'm not cleaning, I'm not complaining, I'm just cleaning it up, making it even, thinning it a little more to eliminate the stiffness, which is mostly caused by the sawdust on the surface. I get rid of that, I've got a nice, very pliable skin. Sometimes the best way to learn this, invest in a machine, buy some extra skins, or if you hunt your own, work on your own. Go to the meat processor, get some extra skins. Not everyone has a head mounted. Some guys that shoot a deer, they think it's too small. They don't want the head. You can get hold of these people, do an antler mount in exchange for a cape. Believe it or not, there are some hides that are disposed of every year. I mean, there are some hides and capes that are wasted and disposed of. This little bit here can be taken away with a knife and a scissor right here. It's so tight to the edge, I don't want to slice the edge of the cape. Might be a section I don't need, but I don't care. If you start getting sloppy anyway, you'll get sloppy everywhere. Now, I've actually exposed the number on this cape, punched into this cape. That's how you get your pieces. Now, these shavings can be saved in a bag of frozen, so that if you ever put a hole in the face or anything, or you need to just kind of use it as a patch, you'll have that. It's a mighty thin piece of skin. Mighty thin. Now, getting around the wound that took the animal down, you want to make sure you push the hair to the outside. Otherwise you'll cut the hairs. You don't want to end up cutting hairs. It's very slow and methodical. And you take the skin away from the wound. Again, push the hair to the outside. Keep it to the outside. Like so. It's a little tricky. It can be a little tricky, but it can be done. Go where there's less blade exposed. There's more blade exposed at the bottom than there is a little higher up. So you can go a little higher up on the blade to get that area. Go all the way around. Push the hair to the outside. Sometimes you can even fold the hide over. Go around like so. You don't cut any hairs. And you thin this area for repairing very well. Now this section out here is not going to be attached, so I'm not going to continue on down this extra piece. It just so happens the back of the head form, I should say the back of the cape goes far enough back on the head form that this section here is not needed. Now this would be a good practice section, right here. This would be an excellent practice section on any cape. This cape is just about finished. I need to get this leg here on the other side. We have a remaining part of the foreleg on the opposite side. Go along, trim this away. Main thing is to hold it tight between the hands, tight. And even a little short. Some people put their hands way apart and they drag it all the way across. That becomes very tiring. So if you have short grip, firm, flat, short grip, you'll be certain that you won't knock yourself out. You won't pull any muscles, and you will, in fact, get the skin shaved properly. I'm almost done with this cape. Almost. So far, I haven't put any holes in it, knock wood. Now watch me put a big slice in it now. No, don't do it, don't do it. It's pretty good. Back edge here. Get this down. The only place I didn't get too close was where there was a long knife cut the entire length of the right side of the neck. And I didn't get too close here, but I'm going to do that now. Sharpen my blade first. Doesn't take a lot to put the edge on it. Go. As close as I can without cutting my threads, cutting my stitches. I don't want to ruin my sutures. This was almost an hour, an hour's worth of work here. The last thing I want to do is cut it open. I turn the hide around. Okay. Like this. I want to get this sawdust off of here. It's a good thinness, but I do want to get the sawdust off the surface. Sawdust tightens up the skin and makes it very, very difficult to lay the skin down flat against the head form. That's good right there. That's all I need. And that's all she wrote on this baby. This really well shaved now. Come around the earbuds. I can do a little more on the back ear skins. Again, this is a matter of stretching the skin, holding it tight. My fingers underneath, I can feel the pressure of the blade, so I don't go through. This comes with practice. This is not going to happen right away for you. There we go. And yeah, I have cut holes in the back of the ear before. Don't get me wrong, I have muffed it up and then had to make a repair. But I'd rather just get the heavy stuff down and then go along with my knife, my paring knife, my Skype knife, and take it down more carefully that way. This is just taking down heavy, just taking away the heavy stuff, taking down the heavy flesh and skin that's left on here during the tanning process. For me, this works for me. And now I got to be careful because this deer had a lot of heavy tendons on the back of his ear. Some deer's tendons on the backs of the ears are heavier than other deer. I can tell you, if I keep going, I'm liable to cut right through. So here's where I stop on the backs of the ears. And around the face, the perimeter. Make sure everything else is done. Let's get this a little more here. Leading up to the skin that goes around the antler burrs, from the back of the eye to the antler burr. Carefully, carefully, carefully. This cape had a hole in the back of the eye that's been repaired using Tech Bond Black, which is just the code for their thick glue, and a piece of shaved hide. All right. This good boy's finished. I would say bad boy, but it's a good boy. This is a cape for my deer. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to soak him down with some Chemol 4 solution. I'm going to wrap him again in a damp towel, put him in the fridge. Tomorrow, remove the ear cartilages. Check any more places that might need repairs. Oh, let me thin that just a bit here. Since it's dry, I'm going to thin this by the incision, ahead of the incision. Very thick portion of the hide, the upper neck here, on this particular deer. I want to make sure this is taken down enough so I don't end up with wrinkles I don't want. Unless they're wrinkles I put in the skin, I don't want them. I don't want wrinkles that are formed because the skin is too stiff. Now, what I'll do is I'll flatten this out further with a mallet and a 2x4 under on the hair side. Oh. Spraying soapy water makes you cough a little bit. There we go. This is good now. This is really, really. This is a lip biscuit. Very nice. I done good, George.